going to execute you.
Let me grab my drink.
Try drinking and see if that'll help you stop coughing.
You just can't have too much, Mom. You know that. You can't have too much liquid, so he knows that.
I know it. And he just had 2 7-Ups.
كيف حالك؟
هلا
كل تمام؟
אני לא מדבר ערבית.
לא ערבית.
לא ערבית.
Okay. So we're going to begin. Today is the 22nd of August,
Yeah.
2018. And we are in Virginia, correct?
Northern Virginia.
Northern Virginia. And we are at the house of
Reuben Ambaruch.
Reuben
Ambaruch. Ambaruch.
Ambaruch.
Yeah.
Reuben, can you please tell me where you were born, when you were born, where and when were you born?
In Istanbul, Turkey.
In which year?
1926.
1926. So we're talking about
92 years.
92 years of age, and you were born in Istanbul during the time of Kemal Pasha,
נכון.
right?
כן.
After the First World War, the First Republic of Turkey. What kind of family are you born into? What's your family like? Your mother, your father?
Averagely poor.
Can you tell me their names?
My mother's name is Esther. My father's name is Karma.
Karaman? And what is your mother's maiden name?
Zuckerstein.
Zuckerstein. Where was she born?
Oh, my mother?
Yeah.
I think she was born in Istanbul,
No, Odessa.
Odessa. I don't know.
And your father, where was he born?
I don't know.
Palestine.
Palestine.
Your father was born in Palestine.
Tzfat.
Tzfat. How did they meet?
In Vienna, Austria.
They met in Vienna,
He ran
Austria?
away when the Turks overran the Holy Land.
Okay. Okay. Are you the oldest child, the youngest, the middle?
I will say the middle.
The middle.
Youngest. Youngest.
Youngest middle.
You're the middle youngest?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you living in the house in Istanbul that is very Jewish? The home that you live in, it's very Jewish?
No.
You're kosher, you're
No Jewish, no kosher.
nothing. So what's the education like in your home?
Jewish.
Yiddish mostly.
You're speaking Yiddish.
Yeah.
And outside of the house?
Turkish.
Turkish. So there's two identities in the house. You have two languages. In home, you're speaking Yiddish, and outside
is Turkish.
Turkish. You have a bar mitzvah
Yeah.
in Istanbul,
Istanbul.
in a synagogue.
In a synagogue.
What can you tell me about the Jewish community in Istanbul from your memory?
Not much.
Not much.
Tell him what you had to do to get a bar mitzvah.
I had to bring a bottle of wine,
Schnapps.
schnapps bottle of wine.
To bribe the rabbi to do
The bar
the
mitzvah.
bar mitzvah.
What, he didn't want to do the bar mitzvah, the rabbi?
He didn't say he didn't want to do it, but if I bring a bottle of wine, it will help.
And did it help?
Oh yes.
The synagogue is a large synagogue now, and it's in the tour guide book. If you want to go there, you have to get a pass 5 days in advance to be
Wow.
able to go there.
He was born in what is now a welder shop. It's 14 by 14 square feet in the poorest side of the European part of Istanbul.
So you were born on the European side of Istanbul.
Yeah.
And he is Ashkenazi, while 95% of the Turks are
Yes.
Sephardim.
So you're different than the rest of the Turkish Jews.
That's right.
That's why you don't speak Ladino.
No, I understand but don't speak.
But don't speak.
But I was more fearful from the Ladino people than the Turkish people.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Well, because they attacked you.
I was more scared of the Ladino people than the
Ladino Jews.
They
Ladino.
used to beat him up and throw rocks at him, and so did the police. A good day is if you would find a rat scurrying around so you could eat that day.
Life was very hard.
Mm-hmm.
What did your father do for a living?
I don't know.
Well, he helped build the old bridge from the
The Galata Bridge. I think he worked there.
He was a construction worker?
Yes.
I don't know. I
Well,
think so.
laborer
A
probably.
laborer. He did whatever he could?
He was an alcoholic.
Okay.
He beat up his youngest son, which is my dad, and his youngest daughter because they wanted to learn and be better. The older two did not care.
I don't know much good of them.
You don't know much?
Much good of my father.
It wasn't
He was alcoholic.
not a good person.
No.
No. Okay. Tell me, when you're growing up in Istanbul, do you go to a public school? Do you go to school?
Yeah, it was called a public school.
It wasn't the Jewish through the synagogue?
No, it was not
It wasn't. It was a public school.
public school. I think I made as much as
Six.
No.
the sixth grade.
No, Hannah corrected him. She said it was only third grade or fifth grade. His sister corrected him. He only went to school because they would give him a meal.
You would
I will get
a meal at
a
school?
meal there. That was the main reason I got there.
Was it far from your house? Did you have to walk or?
Yeah. Oh yes.
Was it like a long journey to get
A
there?
couple miles.
Couple of miles?
Yeah.
What do you remember about Istanbul as a child?
Not too good.
Not too good. Because the economic situation was very hard.
Very hard. Yes.
I've interviewed people who are from Urfa,
Awful.
far away from you. Urfa, it's the region of Turkey that borders Syria.
Oh.
Urfalim, big community in Jerusalem of Urfalim.
Yeah.
But it's very
We didn't live in a Jewish neighborhood.
You didn't live in a Jewish neighborhood.
No.
But you knew that you were Jewish.
Oh yes.
Yes.
You were close to the synagogue.
We walked to the synagogue
When did you go to synagogue? Only like once a year or like
during the high holiday.
high holidays? Yeah.
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 And they wouldn't even let me to go into the synagogue.
Why?
We were no good.
You
He
were
was
no
too
good.
poor.
Huh?
You were too poor to go in. You didn't have any clothes and any shoes.
We were not good. They will always chase us away from the synagogue.
The Sephardic Jews?
Mostly Sephardic, yeah.
Amazing.
But the synagogue was Ashkenazi.
Yeah, it was both, but it was Ashkenazi.
Sorry. When you are 13 years old, 14 years old, when you're becoming a teenager,
Yeah.
what are your interests in life as a teenager?
Have lunch.
Getting a
had-
lunch.
Yeah.
He had to support his family. His father died.
You were working full time.
Your father died?
No, that's when he was
Yeah.
in Israel.
Oh,
No,
okay.
he was 14 when his
Did-
father died.
How old were you when your father died?
No,
I,
you were in Israel, in Palestine by then.
yeah, I was in Palestine.
Okay, so we're not going to talk
Okay.
about. Did you start working as a young boy?
Yeah.
What did you do? What kind of jobs did you do?
I was in supporting somebody had a shop, do electrical work.
You worked in the shop,
Yeah.
and did this help support the family?
Yes.
How old were you when you started working?
I don't know, 10 or 12.
Wow.
About 10.
You said that you went to a public school. So you had friends who were Muslim,
Yeah.
yes?
I didn't have friends, but Muslims and other Jewish people were. Let's put it this way: the Jewish people didn't protect me at all.
They didn't take?
They didn't protect me at all.
They didn't.
No, because I was Ashkenazi and they were Sephardic.
So it was, you were discriminated
Yes. Yes.
by the Sephardic Jews of Istanbul.
More than the
Muslims.
Turkish.
And this lasted throughout your whole childhood?
Yeah.
So not really very good memories.
No.
Okay. Do you finish high school or no?
No, I finished school probably equivalent to the 40 year.
But you finished the equivalent of high school in Israel, in Palestine.
What year did you arrive in Palestine?
I think it was 1942.
42 or 43. He was one of the kids rescued by Youth Aliyah.
Okay, that's exactly because there's Aliyat Noah
Aliyah,
in Istanbul,
yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I've interviewed people who have come from Aliyat Noah in Izmir and Istanbul, and they came later than you. You came before them. They came in 47, 48. You came
42, 43.
Can you remember the first time? Not the first time. Can you remember starting to be a teenager and hearing about Palestine?
No.
Tell him why you chose 1942. About Al Alamein. Tell him what happened there.
At what?
Remember when we went to Al Alamein, you explained to us why that was such a pivotal battle for you?
Remember, it's because the theater was Nazis were going to overrun
Yes.
Turkey. And
Yeah.
with that, they could rescue the kids 14 through 16.
It was Aliyah Noah saved my life.
Can you tell me how?
There were people organizing Jewish people, and I managed to be in that group. It was organized by Aliyah Noah,
In 1942?
42 or before.
42. And these people were members of the Haganah that were organizing it.
I assume so.
Yeah. And you were 16 years old?
Yeah, I was probably. Oh, wait a minute. Now you're talking that I was in Palestine.
I'm talking about before.
Before Palestine?
Before Palestine, you were in Istanbul,
Yeah,
and you are going to go to Palestine with Aliyat Noah.
yes.
I want to know, how did you get involved in Aliyat Noah? Whose idea was it to send you, and why?
Just listening, people talking about it. And I managed to get into Aliyah, but I had a problem. I didn't have the proper weight for them to handle me.
You were too light?
Too late.
How much kilos were you?
I don't know what, but it was too light. I managed to get in there.
You said you had to decide whether you used your money to bribe the people to take you across the border or to buy food so you could weigh 90 pounds.
Yeah. Number one, I didn't have enough money to buy food. But also, at that time, in Turkey, whatever paperwork you had to do, you had to pay off somebody to open the door for you.
Of course,
to get
bakshish.
it.
Bakshish.
Yeah, to get into the room. And if you got in the room, didn't manage to do much, you come next day, you have to pay again.
Do your parents, is it your parents' idea to send you to Palestine?
No.
Whose idea is it?
Talking to people.
But it was your idea. You had no support from your family.
No. As a matter of fact, I left Turkey somehow and went into Palestine. And I don't think if my father even knew about it. So it's not, I didn't get support. He even didn't know about it.
And your mother?
My mother helped me. As a matter of fact,
She took in laundry.
as a matter of fact, to get out of Turkey, I had to find a way to get to the train station.
To the train station?
To the train station, to finally get out of Turkey.
Did you end up going with Aliyat Noah?
With a letter, no.
They accepted you?
Yeah.
How?
What do you mean?
Because you said you were too light.
Yeah.
So?
Managed to get into it.
Did you pay somebody? Did you?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so. How many kids were in your group?
I will say 15 to 20.
Small group.
Small group.
Small group. And you leave from the train station in Istanbul?
Went into Palestine.
Where did you go from Istanbul? Istanbul, on a boat, on a train? How do you get to Palestine?
It's, I think somehow or another, I ended up on the train station in Istanbul.
Okay.
Yeah, but then you said a lot of the times you walked a great deal of the distance.
You have to remember the terrain from Turkey to Palestine. It was a very small train that we could jump off the train and get some fruit and come back.
So you arrive in Palestine by train?
Yeah.
All by train?
Yeah.
From
Mostly. No, I think some places we had to take a bus.
Okay.
Buses.
But you guys went on land?
Yeah.
Not by sea?
No, on land.
Okay. So by land, you're with 10, 15 other kids who are your age, plus minus? 14, 15, 16, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah? You're 16 years old.
Yeah.
1942. You're
Yeah.
16. Right? Is there anything that you would like to tell me about your journey to Palestine? Any significant story? Situation? Did you have a leader who was taking care of you guys?
Yeah, I think we had a leader take care of 14, 15 people.
But you don't remember?
No. And it was Aliyat Noah people.
Sure. Aliyat Noah. Absolutely. Is there anything that I should know about his journey that you guys?
Well, we just talked about how they would collect fruit, but the big thing he told us is walking so much because they just did not have commercial transportation.
Some
They couldn't afford it.
places we didn't have bus or train, so we just had to walk.
To march. Do you remember? So you must have went through Syria and
Yeah.
Lebanon,
Yeah,
right? You went on the coast,
yeah.
plus minus. Do you remember going through Beirut,
No,
Tripoli, Tyre, Sidon?
no.
No. And you arrive in Palestine in Rosh Hanikra? Where do you arrive when
I
you...
think I remember that day.
Rosh Hanikra.
Yeah.
You know, Rosh Hanikra is on the border between Israel and Lebanon. They have these caves in the water. And there are a few kibbutzes very close by.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that.
And the city of Nahariya.
No, yeah, yes.
Do you remember where you first arrive in Palestine? The first night where you sleep?
Where did they took you to the camp that that Dee Dee took us to visit? It's been turned into a museum now.
Oh no, that was already. There's a place in Israel called Athlete.
Athlete, of course.
Yeah,
Is that where they took you?
yeah.
Is that where they took you? Is that where they took you the first night?
I
Or
don't
like
know.
the first week or two?
I don't know, but I stayed there a couple months or weeks.
When you got to Israel first?
Yeah.
That was your first place?
Yeah,
Athlete is below Haifa on the coast.
Yes.
It is now the headquarters of the Israeli Navy SEALs, is in Athlete. And it's very close to Sdot Yam, Kibbutz Sdot Yam,
Sdot Yam.
where Chana Senesh
yeah.
stayed for a while. But this is before that. And do they put you into school? Do they start to get you educated?
No education.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
But you only stayed there about 2 months because they found out he had worked as an electrician. So he was able to get a job with.
When I was already there, they wanted to. They start picking up some people, send them up to some kibbutzim. So I told them I will be better off if I stay, not go to a kibbutz, and do some, I used to do some electrical work, all kind of mechanical work.
So you have a trade,
Yeah.
which is probably most of the kids don't. So where do you get a job? Where do they take you?
Outside Tel Aviv. It's not far away.
Do you remember where? Ramat Gan, Chulon.
I lived in Hulon.
You lived in Chulon?
Yeah, and I had a bicycle
You had a bicycle.
going down to Tel Aviv.
And you're living by yourself?
You
Yeah.
lived at the Russian
No,
family.
it was
You boarded.
the
Did you have an adopted family?
Aliyat Noah outside Hulon.
Uh-huh.
They had a couple families.
Uh-huh.
Someone they were getting paid.
Of course.
take care of-
To take care of you guys. What kind of family did you stay with?
Russian.
Russian.
Yeah.
Baruski. Do you remember them?
That was a long time ago.
Well, you do remember that they used to give you food and then they would give you soup afterwards to make sure that you were full.
I don't remember. Their eating way was totally different than ours. I think we used to have the soup after we ate or before.
It was different. And are you in contact with your mother? Do you write her letters or no?
No.
Nothing.
Not until after independence.
Okay.
Clara came because he was able to help his sister, the one who was married to Colonel Nitzan.
Right.
She came over in 1947.
A year or 2 years later.
Before independence. Yeah, it was before independence.
Before, yes. So we're in 1942, 43. Now, in this time, in 1942, 43, the war in Europe is, well, the war everywhere is going on. And it is, it's after Stalingrad, it's after El Alamein.
Yeah.
The tide is already changed. And it is going...
You give me the name El Alamein.
Yes.
It was, I don't know, we didn't think that we will make it all the way out there to El Alamein. But somehow or another we managed to come out there.
So you're in Tel Aviv at the time, or in Israel?
Holland.
In Holland, the British are in Palestine?
Yeah.
And things are not so
good between the British and the Jewish.
And the Arabs.
And the Arabs. Because at that time, the Arabs were sure they had all the oil in the area, and the British wanted to make sure they get that oil from them.
Of course. So they treated them with more privilege.
Yes.
Yes, that's very clear. Do you ever, at this kind of young age of 16, 17, 1943, 44, are you just working and living in Holon?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Well, when did you join Haganah?
As soon as I came to Palestine.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Practically everybody came to Palestine, was a part of the Haganah.
Aliyat Hanor.
Aliyat Hanor
was
Haggadah.
connected to the Jewish Agency, and the Jewish Agency, of course, was connected to the Haganah. How do you join? Do you do with the Bible and the gun? Did you swear allegiance? No.
No, just became a part of it.
So you're Haganah from the minute you come to Israel, to Palestine.
Tell him why you associate more with the Ashkenazi Jews versus the Sephardic Jews. Remember when you first came in?
Yeah, there was very
Look at me.
little Ashkenazi people. Most of them were the Sephardic people.
In Holon,
In Palestine,
most of them were Sephardic Jews,
yeah.
and you didn't get along with them?
They didn't get along with me.
They didn't get along with you. In 1945, the war is over. The war in Europe is over. And the Haganah and the Etzel and the Lehi step up their activities.
Yeah, but
Because the British will not let
the
the refugees come to Palestine. The white paper.
I didn't know much about it, but
You didn't know much about it?
No.
Okay. At the time. Now, how are you, after the Second World War, are you still working in the electricity shop? Are you?
Yes.
Yes. How long did you work there for? For how long?
I don't know, 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
But on weekends and at night, you were working with the Haganah, helping unload the ships that were illegal.
Yeah, we were doing that. Was some Haganah work that we were supposed to do.
Tell me about your activities with the Haganah, with the immigrants coming. Can you tell me what you did and where?
If I'm not mistaken, that we were unloading some illegal people and mix them up with us to find some place to stay. I think it was kibbutzim or something.
But you said you would get them at night, and by morning, nobody could tell that these were immigrants.
Yeah, we were mixed up.
You mixed them up quickly so that you could dress them up like how Israelis dress and get that whole...
Yeah.
Did you do this once or twice or many times?
I don't know how many, but it was many times.
Many times. Yeah. And the Haganah would come and get you at night and take you?
To do whatever we had to do, and then drop us off back.
In the morning they'd take you, and then you'd go to work?
Yeah, whatever we were doing.
Whatever you were doing. So your activity at the beginning was very secretive.
Oh, yes.
With the immigrants. You didn't talk about this to anybody, probably, at the time.
No. And the important thing was we had something to eat.
You did have something to eat. How was it to see these people? These are Holocaust victims.
Mm-hmm.
These people must be, it must be visually, to look at these people must be very difficult.
Yeah.
You knew what happened to them. We knew what happened.
Yeah, but in those days you didn't think about it.
What did you think about?
That they were the same kind of people we are.
Well, you wanted to get them safely integrated because you're a big deal.
So in 1946, you're 20 years old.
Yeah, at that time I was already, I don't know.
You have a girlfriend?
No, no time for that.
No time?
He was going to school also.
Where were you going to school?
What was the name of the school you went to? Can't think of it all of a sudden. In Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
It was an adult education.
Any time I had an opportunity to get some kind of education,
You took it.
we took it. And it was at that time I even had to pay for it.
Michlala.
I think so.
What was the name of the school, honey?
It was in Tel Aviv?
Yes.
Yeah, outside Tel Aviv.
What were you studying? What topic were you studying? Engineering?
The most important thing is studying Hebrew.
It also was the equivalent of high school.
Of high school. But
Like it was, putting everything in 1 year was all he had.
The important thing is to try to get some education.
it's important for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Can I ask you something? You're in Palestine. You have no family. No girlfriend. What's your support system? How do you have friends or like?
no, as I said, the Aliyat Noah had families, but less than half a dozen families. They were getting paid by Aliyat Noah.
Of course, but yes.
To give us a bed and
Food. Did you have friends that came with you from Istanbul? Are you still in contact? No.
no. It wasn't good.
You were alone.
Mm-hmm. I was alone since I left. Not I left Turkey, even when I was in Turkey.
Do you remember, I'm going to jump a little, when the United Nations declared the partition
Yeah.
of the State of Israel on the 29th of November, 1947. Where are you?
Somewhere in Palestine.
Somewhere in Palestine.
Explain what happened. He was fighting. It was 2 weeks after the declaration before he even knew about it.
No, but I'm not talking about the declaration right now. I'm talking about the United Nations
Vote.
vote.
He didn't know.
Okay.
We didn't know anything about that.
Nothing.
No.
They were fighting and they didn't.
Well, the fighting started the next day. There was no fighting.
But-
There was a lot of tension in the country before
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
A lot of tension. But the war, the unofficial war started the day after the
The declaration.
But they
after
had been
that declaration.
training with, a wooden rifle.
They didn't kapak, right? You know what kapak is?
No.
Kapak is what the Haganah did. They gave you a stick.
A stick, yeah.
They taught you how to fight with the
Yeah.
stick because there was no
Yeah.
guns. I interviewed a woman this afternoon who was in Jerusalem during the War of Independence, and she had one rifle with 5 bullets, and if you shot a bullet, you had to write why you shot it, and
Wow.
so she didn't shoot because she didn't want to write reports. The situation was very rough, and at this time you're living in Hulon, is that correct? You're in that area of Hulon, yeah? Do you remember the situation escalating with the Arabs?
Oh yes, because that was, I don't remember exactly what it was,
Okay.
but we had some problems that Jewish people living close to the Yafo border,
Of course.
and most of them, I don't know exactly what it was, they had to run away and leave the whole place empty.
On the border between Jaffa and Tel Aviv is Florentine, the neighborhood of Florentine.
Yeah.
And there's an Arab village there called,
I wouldn't know it.
come on, Abu Kabir,
Could be,
Mansh,
but
what's it called?
but one,
And the Jaffa, the Jews that were living in Jaffa were kicked. They were kicked out.
they ran away.
They ran away.
Yeah.
And then the Etzel
Yeah.
retook Jaffa.
I don't know
Yeah.
that.
But wait, you were stationed, you showed me the tower where you had been.
Yeah, there was
stationed.
a Muslim
Mosque.
and always we had problems. Somebody was on that Muslim mosque there and shooting at us. So we want to make sure that we were not in an open area.
Tell them what we did when we were in Jerusalem. Remember when we went and got the bread and chocolate for breakfast? Remember when we were up top looking down in the courtyard? What did you tell me you used to do? You used to sit there and pick off the Arabs who were silly enough to walk across the courtyard.
That was a time that you were not safe to walk in an open area.
Because of snipers.
They had snipers, and we had snipers, but I didn't know our snipers. Didn't know theirs. It was not a safe area.
Jaffa or Jerusalem?
No, Jaffa area. And Jews, I don't know what was the time, but the Jews left where they were living there near the Jaffa area and ran away from there.
Sure.
And Arabs picked it up.
How does where do you go when the war starts to escalate? There is, maybe I'm going to say a few events. Maybe they will you'll remember them, but there is the explosion at the King David Hotel in Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
There is the massacre of the convoy from Hadassah, of the doctors and nurses.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly.
Yes, but
I heard about it.
What I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to get you back mentally into that period of time, so that maybe things will come back to you. There's also the famous massacre in Dir Yassin, which is a very big, till today, it's a very big controversy. The Altalena, the ship. Do you remember the Altalena?
No.
The Altalena was the boat that came offshore in Tel Aviv, and the Etzel and the Palmach were fighting each other, and the boat exploded. They shot a cannon. Altalena, it was a boat full of weapons.
I heard about it, but
for 1 year, this boat was stuck on where Frischmann is in Tel Aviv, on the beach. It's a very bad story of Jews fighting Jews.
I heard about it, but I was not involved.
Where were you fighting at that? What year was that?
That was June 48.
Oh, by that time you were already in the Air Force.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are involved in the Air Force. Like tell me about your involvement in the Israeli Air Force.
As a matter of fact, I was involved before it was an Israeli Air Force.
Of course.
What we did is...
How did you get involved with this, though?
How I got involved was that the British left or ran away from their...
mandate.
And what they did is they... normally they hand over to the Arabs. I don't know exactly what reason it was. So when the British ran away, everything they could take, they took with them. And anything they couldn't take, they
gave to the Arabs.
Gave it to the Arabs. And due to the fact that I was young and had some technical capability, I managed to work with other people, and we cannibalized whatever they left over and managed to put together 1 or 2 flying airplanes.
Messerschmitts?
No,
Spitfires?
That was later.
Yeah,
Spitfires?
Yeah.
Piper Cubs.
Pipers?
Yeah, whatever they could.
So you waited for them to leave, and then you took what they left before the Arabs would get it?
Yeah.
Is that correct? And what part of the country? Was this like near Lod, near the airport, or was this near Televinsky, Safarin?
I don't know what. No.
You said you were up in Haifa when you had your crash landing in the banana field.
Yeah, that was later.
That was later.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit later.
So do you learn to fly? Did they teach you to fly?
No, but they teach me.
Okay.
But
so what happens?
Whatever we did is we managed to put together some planes that was cannibalized.
What does that mean, cannibalized? Can you explain that? I don't understand. When you
that means the British, anything could fly, they flew away with it.
Right.
And anything they couldn't fly, we tried to put it together.
You took parts from a number of them and put them together, however. That was cannibalizing.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. I do want to ask you something. How do you get involved with the Air Force. You're
There was no Air Force.
I understand. It was, but how does your Haganah operatives get you?
It was a group of people.
Who? Where? Who? Like, this is what I want to know. Who was this group?
Was it Ezra Weitzman who found out?
No,
Somebody found out he had
no.
electrical
It was a
training.
group of people that we were technically knew each other. Technically knew each other. Like, for example, after the British moved out and they gave already everything they can to the Arabs, whatever left over, we tried to put together and do something about it. Americans used to come and help us.
Machal,
Yeah.
right? The Machal people?
I don't know what it was. Because
American pilots.
because we didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
It was a different time.
But who recruited you to go into the Air Force as a mechanic?
There was no. As I said, whatever was left over, we will try
To reassemble.
reassemble.
And your wife asked a very good question. Who recruited you to do this job?
Nothing. Nobody. Nobody.
Well,
Whoever
there
was-
was a leader of some sort. Who
Was your captain?
How
No
did
such.
you meet Ezra Weitzman? Where was he at the time that?
Oh, I don't know. Ezra Weissman was a different story. He already was a pilot.
Yes,
He
he was
already
already a
knew.
pilot in South Africa. He was trained. He was, but I'm not interested right now in Ezra Weitzman. I'm interested in you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're becoming a mechanic.
Yes.
You're becoming a mechanic for the airplanes, the few airplanes that exist.
That was left over.
Yeah, and they're like in Hebrew we say גולטה.
Yeah.
נכון? זה גולטה.
Yeah.
זה פה חלק, טק.
Whatever pieces
Yeah.
that was able to put together, and then we had already Americans telling us what they wanted us to do.
Do you remember the Americans coming? The
No.
Americans, the South Africans, Canadians.
No, I don't know any.
These are Machal people. These are volunteers that came from mostly South
Well,
Africa.
Ira was one of the volunteers that came
Yes.
over.
Ira.
Ira Khan.
Yes.
Do you know
Yeah,
him?
I know of him, and
Well, he's my cousin.
he's your cousin. Okay.
And they were together.
Do you have the war of independence starts in May 48 when the British leave. Next day Ben Gurion declares the state.
Yeah.
Do you remember this moment?
No.
No. Do you remember where you were?
No.
No.
Was this the time of the siege of Jerusalem?
Yes, the siege was already
And
going on.
that's where he was.
So he was in, okay.
He was involved
I don't
with
know.
the siege.
I was
Lifting the
somewhere
siege.
there, I don't know where.
Were
But you were involved with lifting the siege and you had that horrible experience there.
What happened?
I
He
don't
doesn't
know.
like to talk about it.
Dad, this is the part people need to know.
Yeah.
Yes, this is
You've
very
got
I
to
know.
This is the hard part.
I know I was somewhere there.
You were in the front, Dad.
Yeah, but I know I was somewhere there trying to do something, and I don't know what I was doing.
But
You
wait,
were in the front,
it was
and it was Sabbath day.
Reuben, you need to
Oh.
tell him what happened.
You need to tell him that story.
Because people were being killed when they were trying to supply food to Jerusalem.
Jerusalem was cut
So
off.
the group decided
Yeah.
to break Shabbat
Wait.
by going in on Shabbat.
I remember one thing. I was not in a major role, but we were trying to take advantage of a situation and organize a group to move up into Jerusalem and bring them food. And I remember by the time we managed to get in to the Jerusalem area,
On Shabbat.
It was a Shabbat, and people going to shul threw stones at us.
Hasidic.
Yeah.
They stood in front of your tanks.
Yeah. So we were trying to bring them water and food, and the same people were fighting us.
And they were making so much noise, it was just that the Arabs at the other end started attacking the far end of the convoy.
We took advantage of a quiet situation to bring them food and water that we acquired somewhere. And rather than to help us, they threw stones and...
They made a lot of noise.
Mm-hmm. And then the Arabs attacked you?
Yes.
So what did you do when you radioed back to your commander? When you said there are people in front of my tank, what do I do? What did your commander tell you to do?
Just run over them.
Exactly.
So it wasn't not a good situation. We didn't know where we are, we didn't know what we were doing. All what we know is very religious people wouldn't let us do. We had to fight them more than we were fighting the Arabs.
Well, you couldn't risk losing more of the military people because of the noise they were making.
How many people was it a big convoy? Was it a big convoy or a small convoy? Do you remember?
No.
100 people, 50 people, 20 people?
It was 20 or 40 people.
So maybe like 5 trucks or something like this. And this incident with the religious people, did it happen in Jerusalem or outside of Jerusalem before you got in?
Before we got in.
Okay.
Those were people going to shul early in the morning. So rather than helping us.
I understand. Did you end up getting into Jerusalem at the end?
I don't know, but I think we were.
You think so?
You see, you cannot get too much information because I was not in a position, in a leading position that I can tell you.
But that's not relevant at all if you're in a leading position or not. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you remember. You could be the smallest soldier, just a corporal, but you see, you experience. I don't care about generals. I don't care about famous Ezra Weitzmans or Yitzhak Rabins. It doesn't interest me. What interests me is the personal stories of people
who were there.
Yes. Yes. I don't care about big generals.
No.
It doesn't know.
So I was one of them.
One of what?
One of the people who were trying to do something.
I understand. And that's why I'm here. Because I want to talk to you about these things.
I didn't do much. I don't drink too much of that.
Say, wait, why don't you guys stop? Everything okay?
Yeah. No, we're just taking,
Okay.
Do you remember when the ammunition and airplanes came from Czechoslovakia?
Oh, yes. I just happened to remember she has a cousin.
His wife, is she?
Has a cousin that was on the other side, on the European side, that they were taking apart some of
The
the
Messerschmitts.
some of them, taking them apart and trying to, with it was not an Air Force. We had some airplanes that were worked out by Americans. So they were loading them up with some simple rifles and bullets, and they were flying it in such a way, eventually end up in Palestine.
Yeah, but they called it triangular, or, well, whatever it was, flying the wrong direction, so they come from where the Arabs wouldn't anticipate.
So it was, her cousin were on the European side and trying to load us. And
They were dismantling the planes, and you guys were putting them back together.
Trying to
put them together.
Yeah.
Were you physically involved?
Yes.
Tell me about this, please. About you, not about her cousin. About you. You.
Yeah, number one, we were busy, as soon as it came in, we were busy to unload what came in. And as a matter of fact, I was busy unloading some planes with some stuff. I even didn't know what it was.
You didn't even know what it was. You just unloaded it.
Yeah. It was at that time, you were doing things you don't know even what you were doing.
Just doing.
Just doing.
Tell them the humorous story about when you made some amazing chicken soup.
But when was that though? Were you in the Air Force by then, or were you still
No,
in
I'm not
Hagadah?
Air Force.
Huh?
No Air Force. I think
You were in Hagadah?
we managed to grab some chickens from some farms, and I was the cook. We boiled those chickens.
And what?
If I'm not mistaken, it was cans that used to be toilet.
Toilet paper?
No,
Cans
Toilet.
that you defecated in. The cans you use for toilets.
Because they didn't have enough food, so they were stealing food from local farms and other things.
we shouldn't done it, but we did it.
And
So
so
he
they found
made-
out a toilet made a big pot for soup.
So people came up to him afterwards and said, "What was your secret recipe? This was amazing."
I don't know what the recipe was. Whatever we did, we did.
Whatever you could find, veggies or whatever else, but it was all boiled in this toilet. He knew about it, but he didn't want to tell others.
Did you ever know? I interviewed a pilot a few years ago. Hugo Marom. Hugo Maizel. His name was Hugo Maizel. He changed it to Marom. And he was one of the fighter pilots that came from Czechoslovakia.
Mm.
And he packed up the Messerschmitts also there. And just maybe a name that you knew, Hugo.
No. All what I know is most of the things that we try hard and put them together, they didn't.
Well, you could have a scar to prove it.
They didn't work.
It didn't work. Did you get wounded?
Because I didn't fly it, but once we put together, I was ground testing before it take over. So one of those places got crashed.
So your official job is in the War of Independence is that you're a mechanic.
Yeah.
Where is your Air Force base? Which base are you using? Tel Nof?
Tel Nof was one of them.
Uh-huh.
You use Ramat Gan, right? No, where was it? Where
No.
Tel Nof. Tel Nof, and there's also one near Yavne, near Rehovot. Right? There's another air base there.
Yeah.
Tell them how you got transportation from where you slept
Yeah.
to.
That was not good. As we would go into near Tel Aviv or Tel Aviv,
on a
And
Friday,
what-
Saturday night.
and we will pick up some cars, what was easily available to hijack them,
Hot wire.
hotwire hijack them. Then as soon as we brought it up to our place, we will paint them and all
I
that.
heard this.
What kind
But
of
A lot of people did
yes,
that.
he was. But this is where Ezra Weitzman found out he was very good at hot wiring. So he would take him with a crew of other people on Saturday nights, and they would find Cadillacs because he specialized in hot wiring Cadillacs, and so that Ezra Weitzman would get this one going, and as soon as he got it going, he got somebody else with another Cadillac so he could get the next one going. So this is his connection with Ezra Weitzman.
It wasn't a good time, so yeah. We did so many no good things than
But you
good
have to
things.
explain why. It's because when they needed the pilots to scramble, it was a 45-minute jog to be able to get from where the barracks were to where the planes were. But if they had the cars, it was a 5 or 10-minute drive for
Right.
them to get to the plane.
Right.
And that's why this hot wiring deal became such a big
Yeah,
deal.
but we did so many no good things that we thought it was good.
At the time, you thought it was good,
Yeah.
Well, that's group
but that's normal.
Well, I was going to say, it's what they call groupthink.
Exactly. There is a story about the Egyptian Air Force. The Egyptian Air Force. That the Egyptian Air Force had a lot of pilots that were British.
Mm-hmm.
Is this true?
Yeah, they knew how to fly Spitfire. And they were put into a plane that was not British, and they had problems. It was problems on both sides.
What was the biggest problem for you as a mechanic? Technical problems.
We never knew some of the planes. When they were shooting to the propeller.
With a Messerschmitt.
They were shooting to the propeller, and we never knew how to adjust it so we won't shut our plane.
So, but you also flew a little bit too.
Well, no,
Yeah.
You were a bomber.
I mean, if you were capable to take off,
You could be a pilot.
yeah.
So what did you do? What kind of plane did you fly? A Piper?
No, that was Messerschmitt.
You also flew the P-51s. The P-51.
Yeah.
But wait, when you were in the Piper Cubs, what were you doing? Tell him what you were doing in Piper Cub.
That was a long time ago. One time somebody told me what I'm supposed to do. We were in a Piper Cup, and we would have a basket with
Hand grenades.
hand grenades, and we fly over places and drop them off.
Drop them off. Like Fallujah?
On
Yeah.
Arab village.
Fallujah?
Yeah,
Gaza?
Gaza, Fallujah, any place. I don't know.
Manshia?
I don't know any names.
So
all
you
what
would
they-
throw them out? You would throw them out?
Yeah.
Would you look to see where you were throwing them, or you just threw them out?
No, wherever it was a group of people,
You throw
drop them
a
off.
truck, a jeep.
Yeah,
tank.
whatever it is. As I say, we did so many things that's not kosher.
War isn't kosher. Right?
So I did a lot of things I shouldn't do.
Do you regret things that you've done?
No,
Okay,
not at all.
okay.
As long as we had a basket of things and was a group of people down there, we will do it.
Yeah.
Right or
Did you
wrong.
have any good friends in the army?
No. We don't have time for that. We didn't do it.
But after you came to the States, you ended up meeting some of the people who knew some of the people that you were with. Do you remember that? I don't know if you're interested in that.
How hard was the War of Independence? How hard was it? Because the army was so small, ill-equipped, disarrayed. It was a mess.
Yeah,
It's a miracle that,
that we survived.
yeah,
Yeah. It's by luck.
Well,
is it
food
luck?
Luck.
Food was a real problem too, obtaining. What did you call that, the hardship time? What did you call it?
Tsena.
Tsena, yeah.
But that's after the war. That's the first decade of Israel. The Tsena. Everything was rationed. It was a terrible time. Very hard. When the war ends, what do? Do you stay in the army? You go out of the army?
No, it was an electrical shop there that somehow or another we were building electric motors. So I had a job there.
Also in Chulon?
It was outside Tel Aviv, yeah.
Outside Tel Aviv.
But then at what point did El Al start recruiting people, including you?
Oh, that was a long time after that.
Yeah.
Not too long.
Anybody that was doing some work that was related with Air Force, I don't know, whatever it is, got a job at El Al.
And you also got a job at El Al?
Yeah,
As a mechanic?
yeah.
In fact, they sent you to the United States. They sent you to the United States to continue your education. What were they training you to do?
Oh, that was a long time later.
1950.
We managed to get, I don't know what airplane it was, landed in our area. And in the cockpit area, they had a place that we will say was an engineering area. As a matter of fact, that's the way it was that I managed to get out. It was, they had a, I don't know, whatever this.
Flight engineer is what they call him
Yeah.
these days. He was the engineer that had all
Well,
the
he
boats.
was a crew chief. They called him crew chief at
Yeah.
that time. I can't think
So-
of the name either.
As a matter of fact, I was so much interested in it that finally they managed to get me to somewhere in Chicago area to learn how to use that equipment.
El Al sent you?
Yeah, whoever it was.
He still has his retirement there at El Al, so if you're watching El Al, you owe him.
No comment.
Tell him what you did with your money before you went to Israel, to United States.
I don't know, I think.
Remember, you took all your money and you had somebody make a beautiful gold ignet ring for you to carry?
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't be able to leave the country with the money, so you had a beautiful ring.
So yeah.
Gold ring. Heavy
He still
gold
has
ring.
that gold ring, he never melted it down. So why Chicago?
Because it was that I was so much interested on that piece of equipment that was supposed to be on that airplane. And as a flight engineer.
Flight engineer.
Yeah.
So didn't you have a connection in Chicago as well?
Yeah, I had a
Cousin.
in Chicago. That's the way I ended up in Chicago. And my cousin told me, a guy like you, a Jewish guy, stay away from those things. If you're going to go down, you might as well do an engineering degree. It didn't work out, but...
Yes, it did work out. It's just that you didn't speak English and you enrolled at University of
Yeah,
Illinois.
that was... My biggest problem was anything I wanted to do is you had to speak English.
So tell them how you got into college. What happened at the registrar's office that day?
I stayed with my cousin in Chicago, and they told me, don't do any engineering job, that I will take you into college and I will put you in to an engineering school. So I remember one thing was, I was with him and he was talking to
The registrar.
the registrar to sign me up that I can go to University of Illinois. And after they had a long discussion, he drove me home and I said, now what is going on? He said, the problem was that after I finished talking to him, I was sure I signed you up to go to University of Illinois. But the problem was, after a long discussion, he said, after a long discussion, he thought he signed me up at the University of Illinois.
Well, explain, it was the cousin that he signed up because since Reuben wasn't talking, he thought that Reuben was just there and that he wanted to go to school.
So he says, I didn't realize after I signed you up, I realized I was signed up.
And he didn't speak a lick of English. It's 1952. It was the GI Bill. It was crazy time.
But he didn't get the GI Bill.
No,
He didn't, but
No.
his cousin.
His cousin.
cousin signed me up as a GI Bill.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, I was all signed up,
You were all
but I
signed, but no
didn't speak English.
That's not important. Reuben, before we come to a conclusion, is there anything, and I mean it, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you think is very important to your story regarding the War of Independence in Israel? Is there anything that we didn't talk about? Is there something that you want to talk about?
The biggest problem is that I didn't have the language English.
No.
No, honey.
In
wait.
Palestine, in Israel,
Oh,
during the war.
You are very biased against the British to the point that for many years we could not have tea in the house, even though I went to a British school.
You had issues with the British?
Yes.
Why?
the British were always on the side with the Arabs.
Okay.
They wanted the oil,
Of course they wanted the oil.
so
They have an empire.
yeah.
They don't
So
care about
they were always taking the side of the Arabs.
So if you were so infuriated by the Arabs, by the British, and you were so upset with the British, you should have joined the Lehi and the Etzel, not the Haganah.
I know I didn't.
How come?
I don't know, because I heard so many things that I personally did not agree with the Lehi and the Etzel was there.
Like what?
Or they were going and killing people.
Kidnapping, blowing up, yeah, absolutely.
So I personally did not agree with that.
Okay.
So.
But you had friends who were.
You had friends that were in the Lehi and the Etzel, yeah?
Yeah.
But he didn't know at the time.
Of course, because first of all, if you were a member of, there's an amazing story about the Lehi. Okay? In 1948, the Lehi dismantled itself. Okay? And joined the Israeli army.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And they were told to all come to a parking lot in Ramat Gan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The Lehi were maybe 300 people at its peak. Maybe. They were very small. And all these people come to the parking lot and they're like, you're in the Lehi? Because nobody knew about one another. The system that they built was, I only knew that you were in it, and just the three of us knew, and and that's it. And you had a fake name. So the people that he knew that were in Lehi, of course they weren't going to tell him.
But even then, when he was in Haganah, his brother-in-law was Palmach. His brother-in-law knew he was Haganah, but he never told his own brother-in-law.
Okay. But you didn't have to tell that. People didn't talk about it.
But he was living with him at that time.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I know a story of a couple. Mm-hmm. She was Etzel, and he was Haganah, and they had kids, and they didn't talk about it. And these are like ideologies. These are like different. But I can understand the stamp of not liking the British, and I can understand where it comes from. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, but if you stop and think, they had a good reason why they were on the Arab side, not ours.
Of course. They had an empire. They needed oil.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's very simple. Why would they care about 600,000 Jews in Palestine? Why? They didn't. And yeah. So now what I want to do is I want to take some photographs of his photographs, like at least those two pictures that we saw.
Yeah, I'm sorry we don't have more.
Is there any? It's
them.
fine. That's fine. Is there anything else we want to talk about, or is there anything else that I missed, or no?
No, I think those are all the stories.
Okay. Is there anything you want to tell me about your feelings about in Palestine?
Oh, but Dad, why don't you tell him?
No, keep it like that. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, this is his graduation from
No, it's okay.
college.
It's okay.
Why don't you tell him how you felt when you went back to Turkey with your son and daughter? Remember? Yeah, this is a little off kilter, but it'll give full circle. So the year's 1984, and your son is starting in Germany, and you flew into Germany with your family, including myself. And we went, and your son had bought a beat-up old Mercedes, and we were driving around Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And we finally got to the border in Turkey. And you showed up with your blue passport and your Mercedes.
What's a blue passport?
American passport.
Americans, they were at that time. Actually,
Yeah, they still are. They were green. They were green. Yeah. Those are okay.
And you showed up at the border, and the Turkish soldiers saw that you were from Istanbul, and they were hugging you and kissing you.
I don't know. I don't know.
And you had made it. You had arrived.
You went back to Istanbul?
Twice.
How was it for you to go back?
I don't know.
They were.
We were driving a car, and it was miserable to drive a car there.
It was a huge Mercedes. It was a 350 SEL.
No, wait, oh yeah. But then the second time that we went back, much more recently, we got soldiers to help us find where the synagogue was. We hadn't been able to find it before, and we were surprised that they would help us.
ראובן, תודה.
בבקשה.
Trying to see if there's anything.
So as you can see from his home, things kind of worked out well for him.
Yes.
He has 2 bachelor's degrees,
2 bachelor's degrees?
and they didn't want him to even go for a master's because they said you could teach the course instead.
And when he was 80, how old were you? Matt was 15, so that was 6 years ago. So you were 86 years old. So a Groupon was you could go out to some little old airport, I don't remember where it was, in southern Maryland, and they let you go. It was supposed to be one of these introductory flying lessons.
Who are these people
Well,
with
who's
him?
going to give the reins of a plane to an 86-year-old guy?
Can you read it?
And my son was 15, which was the bare minimum age.
This is Judah.
I know,
So-
but who is this?
I don't know.
They kind of
Well,
showed
it'll
my
tell you
son
here.
how to do it. There's a pilot and the co-pilot seat. So my son flies all the way across, co-pilot lands it, turns it around, then it was Dad's turn, and Dad's like, oh, let Matt do it. And he's like, no, no, no. So anyway, he had already told the pilot, the trainer, I know how to fly. I'm a very good pilot. When he first came to this country, he was flying Cessnas all the time. So the pilot said, okay, let me see how you taxi. And he was impressed. He let my dad take off, fly, land, much better than even the trainer could. So 86 years
Sharon?
old, and he can fly better than the guy trying to train him.
Amazing.
Yeah, so
Okay. Perfect.